What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Carlotta Chatwood Show. Okay, so this is a quick show. I had to come on and talk about the whole thing that's going on with Obama right now, President Obama and Trump. I told you guys a few shows ago that Obama should watch his back. Because I saw one night, I was up watching television and I saw on Fox Tulsi Telsey, I the director, I guess, of intelligence, what, I can't remember, but her on there talking about how they found these papers showing that they lied about Russiagate. Now, everybody knows they lied about Russiagate. I know Democrats hate to hear this. They did. It was a lie. It was a big lie. I don't believe Obama led the conspiracy, but I will talk about that in a minute. But listen, this is just my personal opinion on everything, okay? My personal opinion, allegedly, okay? But here's the tea, okay? This is what I think. Obama, she was talking, Tulsi Gifford was talking about how she was throwing around the word treason. That's not a treasonous thing. Treason to me has always been if you're betraying um, the government in some sort of way. Trying to win an election or doing crazy stuff to win an election is not treasonous, okay? Whatever. I don't believe that. So, but she started throwing that around when it came to President Obama. Let me see if I can find that thing for you guys. When in fact, well, y'all, Emperor Obama, okay? So let me show this. See if I can find it. Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard, I think that's how you say her name. Let's see. Uh, okay, here's the first thing. This is a report from CBS, and maybe it'll have on here the first. This was from 2 days ago, okay? And people have been speculating that they were getting ready to come. I've known they were getting ready to come after Obama, but here's my theory: it's not just the Republicans coming after Obama. This is gonna get where it's gonna get kind of crazy. My thoughts. It's the Democrats too. Obama is the crown jewel in the Democratic Party, okay? If you know anything about how Obama rose to power, you know it was not by accident, right? You know that Obama, in my personal opinion, was a product of Nancy Pelosi. What's the other man? The man who's married to the Folgers lady. I forget his name, but he's ran for president before, and a couple of other powerful people that sit behind not the Democrats, but see, it's really hard to discuss these kind of things with y'all because most of y'all are still in political theater. You argue Democrat, Republican, but it's really not that argument anymore. It's really nationalist, globalist. There is no, these parties, all these parties belong, these people belong. It's nationalism versus globalism. It's no longer Democrats versus Republicans. You got some Republicans who are globalists. You have some Democrats, well, very few who are nationalists, right? So I'm just trying to tell y'all, it's another psyop going on out here, okay? So there's a reason I feel like, and I always laugh. I say this is like the episode of 24. If y'all used to watch 24 back in the day, you know the first black president. They tried to arrest him, and then they was getting ready to I think he ended up dead or something like that. But I forgot the reasons because it's been so many years I watched 24. I may have to find that. But I'm not surprised that Obama was joking about this the other day, but I was like, when I talked about this 3 days ago, well, 3 or 4 shows ago, I don't remember when I told Obama to watch his back. I was like, why are you coming out here joking? Because these people are serious. And one of the things I think that the Trump administration is going to go after Obama for, because the Democrats so recklessly because of the elites. See, the elites and the globalists were having them go after Donald Trump. Okay, remember, there's two wars going on here that's been unbeknownst to us. I always tell people it's about global policy, foreign policy, domestic policy. It's pretty much sometimes set. Globalism right now is between. There is a push to go into full swing into globalism. Um, the Democrats was the party used to recklessly go after Trump last year. They recklessly went after Trump for several different things. They didn't mind, and they weren't going to mind putting Trump in jail. Now, my personal opinion is the reason that Trump stepped down from the. Remember when he was thinking that the elections were thrown against him. The only reason I believe Trump stepped down from all of that, something happened. There was some sort of threat, maybe something, and Trump followed suit and got sit down but talked crap in the background, right? So the Democrats say, okay, the Democrats realize that talk for Trump being president again is ramping up, okay? And Trump being a nationalist throws plans in the globalist plan, right? So they go after him full speed through the press. That's why I tell you can't trust none of your press. Your press is crazy, okay? They go after him. They can go after you tonight and make you a child molester. They can make you anything tonight. It's just these people are, it's beyond gone. We're in another evil layer of the world, okay? Deception is thick. But Trump, they just went after for crazy stuff. They were just trying to get Trump in jail. And so I was like, this is going to come back to bite the Democrats. But they were willing to gamble this to keep Trump out of office. They were throwing anything to the wall. So much that they got y'all out here believing all kind of crazy theories concerning Trump. And most people who head to that presidential office, whether Democrat or Republican, do not head there with their hands not dirty in some sort of way, okay? That is what it is. But him paying off that woman that had no, that's not something to put Trump in jail for. I mean, that's not something normal. The Democrats started a very ugly cycle that most presidents don't like. Remember when, let's think about it. Remember when George Bush came into office, when George Bush was in office, and everybody, by the end of George Bush's term, y'all hated George Bush. The only reason y'all started liking George Bush is because he started giving candy to Michelle Obama. They start softening his image in the press, remember? Okay, but at the end of the cycle, the neocons, George and Dick Cheney, which I don't think George ran the office too much. I think it was a lot Dick Cheney. People hated them. People were throwing shoes at George as he left off. They were throwing shoes. Remember, he had the shoe thrown at him. Then George Bush, when he was getting on the plane to leave during Obama's inauguration, people had like a statue, something of George Bush, and I forgot they was throwing shoes at it. People hated the Bush administration. Okay, as the Obamas were coming in, people wanted the Bush administration to pay. That's why I say America has a short-term memory. That's why you can play with them. That's why I always laugh. People say, well, the biggest, the election that's really been questioned in our lifetime is Trump. I said, no, that's not true. I said, when George W. Bush was coming into power, y'all questioned his election. Remember, everybody thought Al Gore won, and at his inauguration, people were throwing eggs at his limo. It was all kind of protests and stuff in the street in Washington D.C. It was crazy, okay? But most Americans have a short-term memory, and the press is banking on you to have a short-term memory, right? So fast forward, Obama comes into office. People are yelling at Obama because of the war. Remember, we the Saudi Arabia stuff, all that. I mean, not Saudi Arabia, but the Saddam Hussein and the war, the whole Iraq, the whole war. People thought that the weapons of mass destruction, 9/11, all this stuff came up under Bush, right? And remember, it wasn't true about the weapons of mass destruction, and how they went to war, right? But people were asking the Obama administration to, hey, you need to charge Dick Cheney and George Bush and his administration with human rights violation. Now, this is true treasonous shit, okay? We talk about human rights violation. It's not you somebody trying to beat you in an election doing dirty shit. That's not treason. But this is treasonous, right? So, in my opinion, it was some of the stuff people were alleging the Bush administration to have done. And people wanted Obama to go after them. Obama did not. Why, you ask? Okay, even though that was some blatant shit allegedly that was going on with that administration. Okay, the neocons. First of all, Obama's a globalist. He that's why he didn't differ too much from George W. Bush. Okay, or Clinton. Clinton's a globalist too. So you have to understand what's going on there. That's one of the reasons. But another reason is presidents don't usually like to practice that. They usually don't like to try to go after another president, because when you start that kind of thing, it just keeps on rolling. The next administration comes in looking for stuff on Obama. And then the next administration comes in looking for stuff on Trump. And then the next minute, because it's like a tit for tat. That's how politics go. They can be very, what is it? Picky. They can be very, what's the word we always use? Politics can be very sticky. They can be, very messed up. Anything, little thing can trigger them to go after each other. Okay, and they're manipulated by forces that you don't see. All politics is manipulated by forces that you don't see. If you don't think that, then you're lost in the sauce. So you can sit out here and be arguing and watching MSNBC, Fox, all of them all day. But if you don't understand the money behind each politician, or the people behind each politician, and you're not understanding nothing about what's happening, okay? Because everything in politics is ran by a lot of money, okay? And the only way that you beat out the money forces is being a very aware, very awake public. And that Americans are not. Americans are too bogged down. What the politicians have done, and I'm going to get back to this whole thing, but what the politicians have done in a genius way for the powers that be is that they've managed to distract Americans with so much stuff. Like 30 years, you couldn't have pulled off some of this stuff on Americans that you pull off today. There's no way. You couldn't. Biden 30 years ago, and they test the public. 30 years ago, you couldn't have pulled off illegal immigrants coming in here in busloads at night. They would have just had a fucking thing. I mean, they pulled it off a little under Reagan, certain things, but not a lot. You couldn't hardly mess with that, right? And then if you go back to, let's go back further, 30 years ago, you couldn't have pulled off, because we were a little bit more aware. You could not have pulled off the COVID thing 30 years ago. You could not have pulled off telling people to stay in their houses, wear masks, and stuff like that. That just shows how much more the public has become subdued to them. So they know these powers that sit behind these thrones. And that's why I always tell people, I always laugh when people say to me, I always say, did you see the Davos? People always try to argue with me politics stuff. And I said, did you see the Davos conference? And they like, nope. I said, okay, well, you can't really talk to me because you don't even know what's going on. Like the people don't even know that these political powers get together in meetings and different meetings around the country, and they talk policy and all kinds of things. Okay, and it's not just the now Bilderberg groups and all that stuff. Now you got the Davos people, the financial people who just a few years ago had a whole thing about you will be happy and own nothing. But that went over most Americans' heads because you're so busy with everything. They distract you with so much shit. And they don't even just do that to you. They do this to the world, okay? So getting back to the Obama administration. The Obama administration did not want to do that with Bush. They like, we're not going to play them games or whatever with Bush. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it is. He probably was criminal and stuff like that, but we continuing the party on. We ain't closing what's that bay where they kept all that bay's still open too, I think. What's that is it open still, where they kept all the people from, they thought was like some people from 9/11 criminals and stuff like that. Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, so Obama didn't close that. Obama carried a lot of the Bush foreign policy on, okay? And Obama was a Wall Street guy. A lot of people didn't really pay attention to that, okay? So remember, we had, when Obama was coming into office, there were major failures in Wall Street. If you can go back and remember that, major companies that people thought would never fail. Okay, and Obama had to put money, a lot of things behind that stuff to prop things up. There's so much going on between Bush and Obama. Okay, so now we come to the Trump years. Hillary Clinton, I don't know why they chose Hillary. I have no clue. To this day, it baffles me about Hillary Clinton because everybody knows Hillary Clinton has so much alleged dirt on her politically. How they thought Hillary could win an election was crazy to me. Just crazy. I knew Hillary could not win. As a matter of fact, when her and Trump were running, I used to say I was going to vote for Snoopy because I was like, what? And you know, I did actually vote for Snoopy that year. I think I did. I walked in and wrote Snoopy in. Because it was such an unserious Democratic person to choose after Obama. I was like, Hillary Clinton? And I'm pretty sure that was a deal because remember, let's go back, rewind. Let's rewind back to the Obama years. This is where I tell people, just watch closely and you can make your own, we might be wrong, but you can make your own ideas about things that may have went on. Remember when Obama was running for president, couple of things happened with him and Hillary. Hillary was running against him. First of all, Hillary was not likable. People did not like Hillary. That was just that. And remember, the Republicans was on Hillary's side about a lot of stuff politically because they didn't want Obama. Obama was like creating some sort of, Obama was charming. He was having crowds with 30 and 40,000 people at the crowds and stuff like this. You know, it was crazy with Obama. Okay, Obama probably might have been one of the most impactful, if not the most impactful president of the 20th century in terms of his crowds, his campaign, not his politics, but his campaign for the idea of change and not being Washington and all this stuff. So you have to go back and look at all that. If you don't, you don't know what you're talking. You can't see it, right? But so Obama and Hillary's thinking she was going to be that year. She was going to be it, but she should. I believe that Hillary had to know. Remember, this was the Clintons' party. The Clintons had the Democratic Party in the time of Barack Obama. That was still their party. Bill had won 2 terms. He was still one of the most celebrated Democratic presidents. Black people was calling him the first black president on some stupid shit. He might have been a little bit more blacker than somewhat. I don't know. But y'all was calling him the first black president. And Obama and Clinton had a lot of things that black people just didn't notice. Clinton was doing black people in sometimes too. But I think the Clintons still own the party. You have this group, Nancy Pelosi and her crew rising up, and who don't really particularly want the Clintons to run the party anymore. Y'all got a peep game. There's fights within parties, okay? So they didn't want, that's my personal opinion. We don't want the Clintons here no more. So remember, this young senator out of nowhere comes up to lead the DNC talks. Remember, he does that for, I think, was it the second thing against Bush? I think they put, I forget who they had to run against Bush. That was just they knew he wasn't going to win the second time against George Bush. And they put some guy up there so they could, it really was to introduce Obama. Let me see, who was Bush's second, I forget who Bush ran against. I know his name, I can see him, but I can't see, it's Kerry, I think, but I can't see his, let me look at here, see if I can look it up. John Kerry. Okay, John Kerry still has a lot of power, allegedly, in the Democratic Party, too. So these are the rumors that have been politically out there. This is just my political theory. At the time, John Kerry's very powerful, okay? Remember, the Clintons still are the crown jewels of the Democratic Party at this time. So they put John Kerry out there, and I believe John Kerry knew he wouldn't win that election. Okay, he knew he wouldn't beat out George Bush, especially after 9/11 and all this stuff. And George Bush has started some kind. Allegedly, they started some kind of war that wasn't a real war, but American people get behind the war, and they usually sometimes get behind a president. They're not for the war, but they get behind. At that time, presidents and stuff when they have chosen that, right? So Kerry, I think, knew he was not going to win, but that was not, in my opinion, why they went ahead and they threw Kerry out there and everything. My opinion, they already knew who the next president, Democratic president, was going to be, and that was Barack Obama. Barack Obama, the senator from Illinois, the state senator from Illinois. He starts off as a state senator. Remember, Democrats are pissed, black Democrats, because here comes Obama out of nowhere. He was in the fucking state Senate. Think about this. He was in the state Senate. I want y'all to think, though, the state Senate in Illinois for like 2 years. See, the Democrats, old school Democrats, was pissed because they like, the fuck, how y'all gonna bring him up? 2 years. 2 years at the state, 2 or 3 years at the state. I can't remember how many years he had the state Senate level, but it wasn't long before he was running for senator of Illinois. Senator, that means for the big senator, right? So that's how Obama comes in. Remember, when Obama becomes senator, he's only senator for 2 years. He's a junior senator when he shows up. Oh my God. Y'all gotta keep game. It's almost like the little movie. Remember the movie Head of State? It's sort of similar to that. So Obama becomes junior senator. He's popular. He's smooth. He's from Harvard. He was the head of Harvard Law Review. The law thing. Obama had all the mixings of a president. So nobody knows this little senator, junior senator from Illinois. But the DNC taps him to give the big speech at the DNC that year when John Kerry's running. Oh, y'all fit big game, okay? You remember Obama came out and gave that speech the next day, I think in the New York Post or the Washington Post. I can't remember what it was. It was Run, Obama, Run. Run for office. The Democrats started the drumbeat for Obama, even in the midst of John Kerry running. Boom. And me and my uncle, I remember we getting on the phone laughing that night. We was like, who the hell they get this? Where they get these pins, these Democrats from? Oh, Lord, he getting ready to be next president. Because he was so smooth. We knew it. But see, I thought Obama was a front from the beginning. But I got suckered because I went to one of my friends was like, you know what, you need to come to this thing. And with this was before Obama was famous. And he was still that little junior senator. He had done that speech that made him a little bit more famous and gave him that little platform, but he still wasn't big yet that what he would become. I went to this little thing and saw Obama speak. It wasn't a lot of us in the room. It was probably maybe about 50, 60 of us in the room, okay? This is the first time I heard. And, he was using all the good language. He was using bamboozled, led astray. I was like, oh, wow. He was spectacular speaker. He also was very charming. He had everything to be president. Even me but I said, you know what? I might help this guy. I'm going to read his books. I might go ahead and help with this campaign because I like this guy. But the more I started even working for the campaign, the more I saw Obama's politics. And Obama was very Reagan-esque. People didn't notice that about Obama. Obama was very Reagan-esque, okay? So, he never agreed with Hillary about health care stuff. He really didn't want, if you look at Obama early on, he really didn't want to do Obamacare. He was really for some sort of children's care thing, but not for it being like what it was, right? Because everybody knows Obamacare is really Mitt Romney, okay? It's really Romney care, but that's a whole nother story. So Obama is starting to run for office. Nobody's believing in him, but everybody is assuming that Hillary Clinton is going to win this because the Clintons are the crown jewel at the time of the Democratic Party. They are the party to beat. They are you can't mess, the Clintons are that, okay, all that. Even black people, I would go knock on doors with other people and trying to campaign for Obama and stuff like that. And they'd be like, Barack, who? That man know what's going to happen to him if he ran for president and all this stuff. But what we didn't realize at the time as black people, we was just looking at his skin color. We didn't understand that Barack Obama, even though his mother was from America, his father was an immigrant. His black father was an immigrant. And he was raised in a mostly immigrant situation. Okay, so Barack Obama had a very different life from most black Americans. We didn't catch it because at the time we think in our head, everybody black is black. You know what I'm saying? We didn't think, but we not under, that's our small scale of thinking in America. Even though we're in the superpower and we're the ones that everybody's looking at, but yet we still have a small level of looking because we haven't been out through the world to see the world in the ways that at that time that most of the other world had been, because everything is in America. You know what I'm saying? And we're very Americanized as black Americans, right? Except for we had this real odd, uncanny, connection to Africa through Pan-Africanism, which we created. It's a whole nother story, okay? But, so, which just ended up being we see how that went. But now now Obama is coming. So Obama is in here and the Clintons think they have no competition, but the Clintons don't realize that. Remember when Obama was running, it was a split among black celebrities. Half of the black celebrities was running over there trying to endorse Hillary because in case she became president. A lot of the black leadership was endorsing Hillary. Everything. Obama was an outsider, baby. An outsider, in my opinion, created by Nancy Pelosi and some say John Kerry and other powers that be that put money behind the Democratic Party, right? Because they wasn't wanting the Clintons. They knew what Hillary was. They know Hillary was gonna lose them the election. They knew they could not allow Hillary to win that run for president because she was going to not. Hillary has too much dirt on her. There used to be documentaries about Hillary and speculations about what Hillary done over the years for power. Okay, Hillary's a Scorpio in a dirty game. You have to be a really good Scorpio to not get dirty in politics, right? You have to really damn near be angelic and have probably kind of ousted your dark side, right? But Hillary linked into her darkness allegedly. Has it during the politics, even allegedly what helps Clinton even become president, okay? So Hillary and Bill are thinking they got this as a shoe-in. This is, we getting ready to go up in the White House right again, right? After 8 years of George. Even the Republicans are cheering for Hillary because they know they can beat her in the election. Well, Hillary is the more qualified. Barack has just been in the Senate 2 years, which was true. Barack had just been in the Senate for 2 years. But Barack at that time, people were tired of Washington insiders. They was hating it. And remember what Barack's campaign slogan was? Change. Right? So people were hating it and stuff. So Obama goes to Iowa. Obama's on the ground in Iowa. If you know anything about Obama's campaign in Iowa, magnificent. Let me see, what's his name? Who ran Obama's campaign was brilliant at the time because he understood what young people could do. Even though young people didn't vote, young people liked Obama. And they would get out and knock on them doors. They would get out, gather people to hear him speak, all kinds of things. So the Clintons were so out of touch with that. They didn't know what the fuck. They didn't understand the advent of how to use social media, computers. But the Obama campaign was very youthful indeed. Okay, so Obama campaign's working on stuff that you can't. Hillary thinks ours hers, but it's not. Obama wins and shocks the world. The beginning of Obama's rise to power. Then you bring in Michelle. Then you bring in this, and then you bring in that. And remember, as they're running, him and Hillary running. Remember, Hillary did the crying about because black people were starting to turn against her and go to Obama, right? And believe in Obama. Still, with some black people, still for the Clintons, right? So, but this was the takeover. It wasn't even about that. They understood this was the takeover of the party from the Clintons. Okay, so Obama, remember there's two states that they managed to get Obama's name off of the ballot, right? So he didn't have a fair shot in those states. Remember, Obama technically hadn't won the primary. Oh my God, y'all gotta. Remember when Obama, because y'all got such a short-term memory. When Obama was heading to the primary, he had to broker a deal with Hillary. They didn't even like each other, allegedly. The Clintons and the Obamas hated each other. The Clintons hated the Obamas because they showed up the fuck out of nowhere, and they like, what? How y'all coming to steal the thing from us? But it wasn't behind them. People say it was Nancy Pelosi and other very powerful people, allegedly. Okay, so the Obamas is like, okay, they like, you see that we the most popular. You see the Barack, like you see we about to lose. You about to lose. Now we can go to remember, people thought they were going to go. That's why I just try to tell everybody when people say, hey, I hate, this is a sidebar. When people say I hate the Electoral College, I always laugh. I say, why? Can I tell you, you have the Electoral College at every stage of voting. It's just in a different form. And I've said this before on my shows. Okay. So when you go to vote in the primaries, you don't go to you cast your vote, but who goes to the Democratic National Convention and the Republican National Convention are what? I ran for one before. Who does it? Delegates go. Delegates go. Those people that you see at the DNC raising up there, they got their hats on and they partying when the week come for their conventions and stuff. Those are delegates. A picture of the Electoral College. They've come to cast your vote. You cast your vote for the delegates to go and take your vote. And you hope they cast it for you because things could change in that convention. So remember, they're scared. Going back to Obama, they're frightened. They're frightened because the Obama campaign is a little bit like, we got to break our deal with the Clintons because they've managed to get our name off of 2 ballots. And this could stop me from winning the primaries. So my imagination, the Clintons did not like the Clintons and Obamas allegedly, rumors were hated each other. So the deal was that I believe that he made Hillary a Secretary of State eventually at some point. He had to broker something out, right? So because they were scared that at the convention, when they got the delegates in the room, and remember, you also had the Bernie Sanders people who was pissed off too. And a lot of the Bernie Sanders people started, I think, kind of going a little bit to Obama. So, because remember, Bernie Sanders has been trying to run for a long time. So they don't want a convention that turns into a fight where Hillary ends up winning. Because what? That's a picture of the Electoral College. You never cast your vote for just you. You cast your vote to send someone on all levels. The picture of the Electoral College is always there. Even though delegates are not the same as the Electoral College. In my opinion, they're a picture of the Electoral College, right? They're a picture. So when you cast your vote in the big election, right, the general election, you are voting for the Electoral College that you don't see. Like the delegates, you see them on the floor at the conventions, in the primaries, right? But they are your voters, not you. Most Americans don't know what they don't understand their political system. But anyway, okay. So they didn't want that, a broker, they didn't want no fight, no beef at the convention. There has been times where there's been beef at different conventions, Republican, Democrat. I forget who had the last big beef at the convention where they can broker off. People be making backroom deals. They can steal delegates. It could be a lot of things going on, okay? They didn't want that to happen. So they cut a deal with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton agrees to bow out so that Obama can become the primary person, the primary election. So remember, now everybody, the whole party gets behind Obama, right? Obama is mad crazy. It's crazy for Obama. And who's Obama running against? He's running against at the time, the Republicans just threw, who the Republicans throw up there? I forget, was it John, who was it, John McCain. John McCain and crazy John McCain. I don't know why John McCain picked that woman he picked. What's her name? She was crazy. But he picked her. It felt like they thought, it was a battle because basically of the racial dynamics, even though Obama's Kenyan. Okay. So Obama wins. Obama wins the House and the Senate. That's why Democrats, listen, plenty of time that the Democrats have had power and they could have did what they did. But Obama uses all his political cash, his political cash. Now remember, hold on. Sidebar. He makes a deal with Hillary Clinton. Does anybody know what one of Hillary Clinton's big things was when she was the wife of, when she was just the wife of Clinton Bill, and she was always political, okay? But one of her things was universal health care. She wanted health care, okay? So Obama, who only kind of believed in health care, maybe a little bit for kids, he didn't really kind of have that stance. Suddenly, he was using all his political cash, his political power on Obamacare. That's why a lot of other stuff didn't get, and gay rights and stuff like that. A lot of things didn't get first done because he spent his political cash those first 2 years on those things, making people pissed. By the time Obama comes into his 2 year, the Republicans have come in, making it harder for him, right? Even though he wins his second, and then he wins the second, remember he wins the second one, Barack wins the second one against, I forget who Barack ran against. Was it Mitt Romney? Mitt Romney. They remixed Mitt Romney up. And which was funny to me because Obama had just did the health care plan that Romney created. A Republican created it. It's funny shit. It's funny. These politics is hilarious. Okay, and it failed, the Romney care failed so bad in Boston and when they in the state of Massachusetts when he had done it. Okay, so so that's to tell y'all why Obamacare, y'all could never understand Obamacare because it was a failure years ago. It was called Romney care at one point. But I digress. So Obama's here. Obama is the power kick. Obama got so much power in this party. He got more power than people think. It's still behind him though is allegedly the money people and, Pelosi and all these people, okay? Meanwhile, Biden's won his term, okay? Biden, but they need somebody to come in and stop, Hillary comes in. They give Hillary another chance after Obama's 8 years. They say, hey, Hillary, we'll back you again, even though they don't all allegedly like each other. We'll back you up, Hillary. Okay, Hillary it was a lot of deals that had to be brokered there. Just like Kamala had to broker deals with Obama. Remember, Obama held out on Kamala Harris. He didn't actually Obama was actually smart in what he said about Kamala Harris, in which the Democrats missed. But I'm going to get to that in a minute. So now the Obamas are the political power in the House, okay, with all their backers. They the political power in the House, and you got to come through the Obamas, and the Obamas carry weight, baby. Okay, y'all so much that y'all want him to be an emperor. Obama was okay to me as president. He did a lot of stuff for black people, but what Obama he was the big mass deport. Y'all talking about mass deportations? Obama did it he did more than Trump. He was secret about it. Obama hated illegal immigration, in my opinion. He deported people secretly, so much so that they were deporting themselves. Obama was secretly sending out ICE. Obama was like, whoop, whoop. Obama deported more people than anyone in his age. Obama is very semi-conservative, even though he's a globalist. There's certain things he still don't like. So Obama was playing games. Obama was pushing illegals out. He's like, in a quiet way, right? But meanwhile, they're also making deals global wise. Obama is the first president representing a global twist. He's the first Kenyan president, not the first Black American president. Yeah, I didn't catch that. So Obama's making deals in Africa. Look at how the deals made with Africa during the Obama administration. And the fact that he had to use Biden as his VP, that's another twist. He had to use Biden. Biden's old school. Remember, what did Biden come out of? The state of Delaware. Where did you used to get all your banking checks and stuff from? Delaware. I used to call him the banking guy. Biden, the senator of the banks. Wall Street money, all that stuff, okay? So that's why he had to come up under Obama. Same thing with Dick Cheney, all this other stuff, okay? So we're getting into the 8 years of Obama. People are kind of like, the little people who are smart about Obama kind of know this was just like a big old, like, party with Obama. It really wasn't. Did anything really happen? Whatever. But so people are a little disgruntled, a little angry. They're seeing just a smidge, not much, because Obama's a charmer. A lot of racial things have happened under Obama. You had the church shootings. You had a lot of things, crazy race stuff come up and stuff like that. So the country's a little splitting down the middle, because it's not like in some of the Obama politics, because Obama largely represented, in some ways, Wall Street in some ways, okay? So here comes remember, now, I want y'all to remember this. During that time, there's a small swell in the grassroots of white political politics. And that is the Ron Paul movement. Oh, if you miss the Ron Paul movement, you miss everything about these situations, okay? If you miss the Ron Paul movement, I'm going to tell y'all this, what's his name? D.L. Hughley was a Ron Paul person. That's why I'm so shocked at D.L. Hughley. I remember him interviewing Ron Paul and kind of actually saying he liked him a lot on a CNN or something, which is strange to me that he doesn't like what's his name as much. But I'll get to that later, okay? Because D.L. Hughley one time was a very libertarian, in my opinion. And then remember when he was having his show on, he had the show on CNN for a little bit and all this stuff. But that's a whole nother stuff. Not that D.L. Hughley's a big thing in politics, but I'm just saying that now he's coming out swinging completely liberal, okay? So, and I consider him they try to make him the Black Bill Maher, okay? So, during this time, you have the Ron Paul movement that is on the ground of white politics, grassroots of white politics. But but Ron Paul has a coalition of different people, different groups, different races of people, right? But Ron Paul always remember that they always attract, when you talk about America's roots and how America was birthed, and America remaining largely independent and sovereign. Remember, not only do just regular people share that political ideas of sovereignty, of nationalism, but so do racists. Okay, because they yeah, this is our country. You know what I'm saying? This is a whole nother story. Okay, they remember. Sidebar. Remember if you watch the Boondocks. Remember in the Boondocks that where you got the militant grandson Huey, who is power to the people. Huey is suddenly, when Obama runs for office, Huey doesn't like the Obama reign. And remember, Huey's like, I'm just gonna retire. Black people, they showing black people everywhere dancing, but Huey always knew, because he was smart, that this ain't right, something ain't right. And remember also who hated Huey was Uncle Ruckus. Uncle Ruckus but he hating Obama for a whole different stuff. But suddenly, in this end of this, it's so genius. I say how Aaron Magruder was so genius, but he was the showrunner. But in the end of that, one of the episodes of Boondocks, Huey, power to the people, is thinking about leaving the country with Uncle Ruckus. Okay, so if you understand that dynamic. Remember, that's not the first time this dynamic happened in history, too, with racists pairing up with black power political kids. Remember, oh, I can't think of his name. He got killed very young by the FBI, but he got all kind of groups together because his thing, even racial groups, and I forget his name, and I shouldn't be forgetting his name. I'll remember it in a minute. But he got a lot of people together. He died very young, but he got a lot of let me see. Let me look this up so I can get this, so I can tell y'all how this is going, so y'all can get a picture of activists. Let's see. I don't know why my name's going blank on this. Okay. I will get this in a minute. I'm looking it up, y'all, so I can know. I'm giving y'all a long introduction, but I want y'all to understand the politics I feel like has been going on. But what is his name? There was a movie about him too. Let me see if I have this name right. Hold on. And it was right after King, I think. Oh goodness. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break so I can find it because I think it's important for y'all to know. So hold on just a second. I'm gonna let y'all hear some music, and I'll be back in a second. Okay. All right. All right, guys, I got it. I don't know how I let this slip my head. Fred Hampton, okay? Fred Hampton, if you ever saw the movie about Fred Hampton also politically was known to bring people together who had diverse political agendas, but maybe shared the agenda of saving America. Actually, Dr. King was doing that towards the end of his life. That's one of the reasons I think Dr. King was killed. Dr. King, remember, Dr. King started to bring a coalition together around what? Economics. Okay, Dr. King became very dangerous at that point. He wasn't dangerous about merging civil rights. Civil rights was actually not dangerous because they used King to merge in financially. They understood that financially they needed Black Americans. And it took down Black American businesses a whole lot after that time, everything, because they needed that money, our politics and our money to merge and become into society a certain way. But Fred Hampton was very radical. Fred Hampton, so King was doing that towards the end too with the Poor People's Campaign. Okay, Poor People's Campaign had everyone in it, even poor whites who probably didn't even like King. Okay, King was a pariah at the end of his life. Y'all don't know that. I know it's hard to believe because everybody loves Dr. King now and all these things, but King had been put through the rails. Now, Also, I know about I've talked about on the show how King was a playboy. King was a playboy. Dr. King was a playboy, and that's probably why they upset about some of these fouls coming up and stuff like that. But that ain't nothing. He still did a lot of great things. Okay, he did do what he wasn't. That's something for him and his family to work out. Listen, he wasn't good in that way. He was out here in these streets. King was out here in these streets, and it didn't help. Politically, he could have probably been even greater had he not been doing that, right? But Fred Hampton, after King, Fred Hampton begins his small rise. So Fred Hampton was one of the ones who was pulling together powers very early on. So the reason why I want you guys to know about Fred Hampton is because I don't want you to think this is brand new, a black political power connecting to groups. Even rumors was Black Panthers used to connect to some groups that were white supremacists and stuff like that. Even think about in jail, white supremacists allegedly work with black people, black stuff all the time. It's a whole thing. Okay, because people want to people, maybe the name of the game is to save the sovereignty of the United States. So then you can fight with each other from a different point of view. You know what I'm saying? You have more power. For Fred Hampton kind of saw that, hey, black people need to do this and this. We have to save this part, and then we can go on to the next part. Well, so moving on down to Ron Paul politics in the age of Ron Paul. During the time when Obama's coming out of office, there has been the last several years this libertarian movement under a guy who's an old school Republican, a little old man named Ron Paul. Okay, Ron Paul had all the young people, even during the Obama years. Even Obama managed to get a little bit of the Ron Paul crew, okay? Now, if you know anything about Ron Paul and you know anything about the conspiracy theories of the world, that grassroots and white politics like Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, people like them, okay, especially Alex Jones, they love Ron Paul. Ron Paul was the guy, okay? But Ron Paul could never win an election because Ron Paul was too much sound like right. Right? And he had that slightly racial element to him because the racists were also attracted to Ron Paul, right? Because Ron Paul was about the sovereignty of the United States. So this time, so Obama, that groundswell is happening. Nobody's noticing it. Then there's these groups like Alex Jones and them calling themselves, talking about there's a branch of the Republican Party now coming to power called the Tea Party, named for the Boston Tea Party. Remember, the Boston Tea Party is the beginning of America's breaking from Great Britain. America standing up for itself and saying no taxation without representation. It's the old Republican Party coming up to brew. So they're like the Republican Party that was racist but still did the Emancipation Proclamation, still put Kennedy in office. Not Kennedy, Lincoln in office, all this stuff. Okay, so this is that party that is coming up under the neocons. The neocons split the Republican Party. The Republican Party is going through hell, okay, after George Bush and Dick Cheney, because they started a fake ass war, okay? And basically a lot of Republicans were tired at the time. They're like, we're so fucking tired of these neocons spending money on wars. Every time they come into office, they starting a war. They tax just like the Democrats. They do this and that. And so this party, this Ron Paul movement, was suddenly able to gain traction. Now, I'm saying this for a reason, okay? Hillary Clinton has got her eyes on a new turn now. Even though the damn Republicans know in their heart, the Democrats know in their heart, Hillary can't win no election. They know it. But I think they're just going to throw her out the pasture. She's trying to gain political power. But I think the Democrats know she's not going to get it, okay? So here's this, but what they didn't see coming is this Ron Paul movement. Ron Paul movement, the old party, the old Revolutionary War ideas of what America is and this and that, blah, 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 blah. And Ron Paul sat behind a lot of that policy, okay? So, and people like Alex Jones, all these people, these grassroots conspiracy theory like groups were pushing Ron Paul. They were like, yes, that's the guy. Ron Paul's getting old. He tries his last run. He doesn't get it, right? He doesn't get anywhere near it. But who does come in to take the vacuum? A guy who's been known throughout his politics to be Democrat and Republican. He used to, as a matter of fact, he hung around all the black people black entertainers a lot in New York. A lot of the people you see arguing against him now, well, he helped, or he was somewhat in the crew with. Comes Donald Trump. Okay. Now, when you're a politician, you got to come in where you fit in. There's no room in the Democratic Party for Donald Trump to come in because his best friend at the time, the Clintons they were good friends. Remember, the Clintons go to his wedding and everything. They were good friends. Okay. He can't come in the power vacuum through the Democratic Party. And Obama's frankly made the Democratic Party a little bit bushy. Like George W. Bush, his politics didn't change that much. He was very charming and fun to watch in office, and you got a lot of entertainment, but he wasn't very, what people wanted. But here, Donald Trump sees a vacuum in the Ron Paul movement. And he sees this little bitty part of the Republican Party that is taking over the neocons because people are tired of the neocons. People are sick of the neocons. He becomes that Tea Party like president. He takes on the energy of Ron Paul. Donald Trump is more charismatic than Ron Paul. He's more famous than Ron Paul. People like him. And that is what the Clintons didn't understand was happening. That little group and Hillary's bad reputation would put Donald Trump into power in an unexpected way. Okay? Donald Trump comes into power. The media begins to go at him, trying to go at him because Donald Trump comes in there and he's like, you know what? I am this guy. I like this Ron Paul party. So you know what? I'm going to act like him. I want to be sovereign. Yes, I'm a political globalist. A business globalist, but I'm not a political globalist. I want the United States to keep power. I want the United States to keep its borders clear. I want the United States to this and that. Well, this doesn't work with corporations and everything now. The corporations have ran the last 2 or 3 parties. What the fuck you coming up in here talking about? You ain't gonna let us keep betraying American people and everything like that. See, now I'm not saying Trump's perfect, but I'm saying that's where he was coming from. That was his politics. Okay, what you mean you ain't gonna let us go over there and use the Chinese up and everybody up? It was corporations that had suicide nets in certain third world countries out in front of companies, because people was committing suicide and stuff like that because they were working these people like slaves. Remember, what was America built on? Oh my God. I want people to get this. America was built on the slave trade. Slavery. Free labor. Slavery is illegal now. So, because slavery is illegal now, what are we going to do to close to slavery? We got to get these cheap immigrants in here and exploit them. We'll go up. We won't do them like we did the slaves. But what we'll do now, we're corporations. We become more less savage than the slave traders. We now will give you a little bit of nice things to live in America. We'll help you with a house and help you maybe with a car, help you with some health care, a little bit here and there. Offer you to work for $1 an hour for us. The corporations are the new slave traders, but they doing it. They're not slavery. Slavery is for. They're not under slavery. They're exploiting the Democrats the illegal immigrants in a different way. Okay, even to the point of helping them a little bit. They're much nicer than the slave traders, okay? But they're still exploiters, okay? So they're looking, Trump is saying, hey, Americans should have those jobs. What happened to all the factory jobs? NAFTA, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton sold the his working class people down the river with NAFTA. So here comes Trump being the old boy talking about, you know what? Nah, we need stuff to come back to America. We need to, and they like, it'll never come back to America. We'll never run. These corporations pissed because they like, you think we gonna run companies in America? We gotta pay them big money. We gotta pay a citizen big money. And the other Republicans are looking at Trump. The neocons are saying, well, you do realize that our maids and housekeeping and everything are no longer black people who are citizens now. Now we've gotten illegal citizens to do the dirty work. So we can pay them like 50 cents an hour and $1 an hour. And probably, I'm sure the Trump Towers is in on that too. You know, they trying to get him. And he like, nope. I don't want that. I want people to have their jobs back. I want blah, blah, blah. Trump is become a populist. Y'all don't even get the game of politics. It's funny as hell. So Trump is, so the corporations like, oh Lord, can we control this guy? Is there any way to control this guy? Meanwhile, the Democratic Party, who has unceremoniously lost and been embarrassed by Hillary Clinton. They knew they shouldn't have picked Hillary Clinton. Everybody's angry. They've lost to Donald Trump. That's not even Donald Trump of the New York hangout, the Donald Trump populace. So what do? Yes, Donald Trump has every group, let me tell you, every group has a segment of racists. This is a racist country. Even Democrats are racist, okay? They do it in a different way. They're nicer racist. Okay, theirs is understood. You can't hardly see them coming. Okay, they don't come like the wolf. The Republicans have a branch of their party that the Democrats used to have. The Democrats used to be the Dixiecrats. They used to own the racist groups of the party, but it switched up during the New Deal. Okay, switched up. Black people started voting more so for Republicans under the New Deal, even though Roosevelt was a known racist allegedly. Okay, but that's what happened. Okay, so it begins to switch up. Even the Dixiecrats are still present in the politics of the 1960s and everything, even when black people are voting for Kennedy, vote for Kennedy to come into office and all these things, okay? So they're voting for these guys to come into office. They're putting these people up in office. And so during this time, the Republican people, the Democrats have switched parties, okay? So now we're looking, this is the age we're in. Hillary Clinton and them are looking at like, yo, we've just lost the election to Donald Trump. What do we do to take out Donald Trump? Barack Obama talks about it a few years before. Hey, you guys, you might need to prepare for COVID. What? What's that? Ebola. Start naming all kinds of things. Now, this is Carlotta's Theory 101. None of this is facts. This is just my theory, okay? So they prepare for COVID. Okay, COVID comes in and it's the ruining of Donald Trump's political power. So many things happen underneath COVID. No president has ever had to deal with anything like that unless it was the early 1920s with Spanish flu. So they find a way to get Trump out of office. But Trump is not so easily, he's not an easy foe that you could get to submit to you. He's a Gemini. And then we have the reign of Biden, right? But Trump is still in the background raking havoc for Biden. Biden, they thought they would kick off New World Order big time. They start bringing in the illegals. It's all kind of stuff start happening, and they was doing nice stuff at the same time to keep distracting America, and all this stuff. But people, the Ron Paul, Donald Trump, people are still powerful, and they say we want Donald Trump to run a second time. He can't possibly win a fucking second term. No. We gonna put these politics out here so bad on him. We gonna talk about him so bad. If you run a second term, Donald Trump, we gonna put you in jail. We gonna do this. We gonna do that. They came after Donald Trump hard, these powers that be. Over dumb politics, dumb shit, okay? But they thought they had him. And he didn't. He got away. That Gemini got the hell away. I would have told him if they would have let me advise him. I would have said, y'all can't do that to him. He gonna slip out of that, right? The Biden administration under the Scorpio and the Libra thought they was about to knock out Trump. Trump finds his way back to the head of the Republican Party. The neocons are pissed. Remember Liz Cheney and all them? They are part of the old neocon movement. They're telling them, you don't run this party no more. Get the hell back. This is now Donald Trump's party. Donald Trump, even when he came into being in the Republican thing, he had to take a neocon for his VP. Look at that. Check that out. Okay, this time Donald Trump got to run it like he wanted to. Got a little young boy up there, Vance, J.D. Vance and all this stuff. But he still got powers that he's beholden to. Okay? So here's Donald Trump. Donald Trump becomes president after everything they tried to do. Meanwhile, on the Democratic side, the Democrats are fighting within themselves. They can't believe that they picked Kamala Harris for one. They like, damn, you knew she lost the primary. What the hell did y'all choose? The Obama people did not want Kamala Harris. Remember, Obama says, Kamala Harris, you guys should just broker it at the convention, who will let people run at the convention and let us decide that way. They didn't want to do it. The Obama side, this is still the Obama's party, right? During that time. They wanted, remember they was begging for Michelle to do it. Michelle like, I'm tired of politics, shit. I'm doing a podcast. Leave me the hell alone. As a matter of fact, I didn't like my time probably in the White House. This is just my thoughts on what she probably thinking. I didn't like that shit, okay? I'm out here doing podcasts, and I'm trying to be the next Oprah. Damn y'all politics. I ain't running for shit. I know y'all about to lose this election. I don't give a damn. And Michelle checks her ass out. Michelle give one nice little speech at the DNC and says, that's enough? Is that what's going to work for you? Because that's all I'm going to do, okay? Michelle checked out. Michelle's completely gone. Michelle like, shit, motherfuckers, I ain't running for shit. Then they mad at Michelle. The Democrats is mad. The Democrats is like, God dang it, now we got to go with her. We got to go with her. She already lost the primary. She lost big time in the primary. Tulsi Gabbard threw her ass out. We got to put her up because what happened? Biden, they was hoping Biden would be able to not show his decline. But that debate happened, and boy, oh boy. Remember, sidebar, remember when Nancy Pelosi was trying to do the 25th Amendment? Remember when she was trying to do that 25th Amendment thing, and we thought it was for Trump? But no, I believe it was, my personal opinion, I believed it was always for Biden. That when he got in there the second term, they was going to declare him not to be able to run the White House, and they was going to make Kamala Harris the second black president, and they was going to run her ass. It was going to be powers that be running her ass. But he declined earlier than expected. And so they had to put Kamala out in the running stage. And she ain't that good at winning elections, okay? The Democratic Party becomes fucked, okay? And Donald Trump is out here stumping ground talking about we getting these illegals out of here, we getting these blah, 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 blah. They taking the black jobs. I mean, he's just out here doing the most is all the things that Americans like, okay? Meanwhile, the Democratic Party is becoming disgruntled with each other. Donald Trump wins the election, is set back in fucking power. Unexpected. Now, the globalists and the Democrats got to figure out what the fuck we gonna do. Okay, so listen. So now, now we got y'all, the Democrats fighting with each other. They're trying to make Kamala Harris some people in the Democratic Party, that the powers that are behind, like the AOC, the what's her name? What's the girl name? The girl, what's her name? What's the girl who don't make no sense? What's her? She always the black girl who's, I call her what's her name? Maxine Waters 2.0. Okay, her and all these people, they're trying to bring this new party up that they have control of, right? The new kids on the block, and they run them, but the Obamas is getting in their way. The Obamas like, bitch, we ain't going out that quick, that easily. So Barack was out here talking shit. Barack saying to Democrats, hey, you got to toughen up. You got to this and that. But Barack don't realize his own party is getting fucking mad at him. His own party not liking him. Like, you not letting us go on past you. And meanwhile, Donald Trump's over on the sidelines looking like, which one of you motherfuckers is going to pay for trying to take me down like y'all did? Because somebody got to pay. I'm here on the revenge tour. And y'all know what's about to be up, right? Now, here's my theory. They've given Obama up. Now we shall go on after that long introduction to the CBS News thing, okay? So I'm going to show you this. I told you it's going to be a short show today. But I had to give y'all the background first, okay? So let's share this right quick.
Intelligence. That report claims to have new evidence of an Obama administration conspiracy to subvert President Trump's 2016 victory and presidency. This report claims politicized intelligence was used as the basis for smears seeking to delegitimize President Trump's victory. So let's bring in CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gossis. Olivia, we're talking about Director Tulsi Gabbard. She calls this, and I want to quote this directly, a treasonous conspiracy, and says that people, no matter how powerful they are or were at the time, must be held accountable. So what is the hard evidence here?
Yeah, hi, Reed. DNI Gabbard is making these very strong allegations on the basis of about 100 pages of declassified documents her office issued on the 17th of July. They include email chains, the draft of a president's daily brief, and summaries from a high-level meeting at the White House that have to do with the drafting of this comprehensive intelligence assessment of Russia's actions in the 2016 election. A memo issued by her office picks certain phrases from those documents that say there's little to no evidence that Russian actors had the intent or the capability to interfere in the election by using cyber operations to target election infrastructure, voting machines, in order to physically change vote tallies in the country. And indeed, there was ultimately no evidence that that happened in 2016 or any time since. There was, however, ample evidence of a broader influence campaign. You may recall it involved the hack and leak of documents from the DNC, divisive social media campaigns, some of which criticized Hillary Clinton and praised Mr. Trump, which was assessed to have been ordered by President Putin himself by U.S. intelligence. Multiple comprehensive...
Okay, pause real quick. I got to say this. If you can hear a pattern, the news media is the narrators of all these political stories, okay? So we already hear... If you can listen real close, we're already hearing them say, hey, there was no election interference in 2016 or since, including when the Bidens won. That's the political deal. Okay. The political deal, in my personal opinion, is we'll give up Obama. We'll act like we're not giving him up. But we got to give up this idea that the elections have been fixed.
Bipartisan reviews have since reaffirmed those findings, but Gabbard in this release appears to be conflating those two issues: cyber operations on voting infrastructure and the broader influence campaign, which is what has reignited a lot of these political battles over what actually did and didn't happen in 2016.
Well, and then speaking to the big question, what's next? Any response from the Obama camp?
Not that we're aware of yet. Gabbard has said that she's sending these documents to the Department of Justice as part of a criminal referral for Obama administration officials, including the president, including then CIA Director John Brennan. She has also promised that more declassification will be happening. We've yet to see whether those documents actually change these findings, which again have been held up since 2017 by a multitude of reviews.
All right, Olivia, thank you so much.
Okay. So they're trying to look like, you know, the power. Obama still has power behind him, right? So they're like, whoa, are they trying to throw us up under the bus? Okay, because remember, they want the Obamas gone. The Obamas are the, like, y'all, that's y'all emperor. Y'all, they like, this is y'all emperor. We can't really, even really, Kamala can't take a hold with her box of rock self, can't take a hold of the party with these guys. And then there's the whole idea of Michelle. Michelle is super smart. Okay, Michelle ain't wanting to be in that. And they mad about that because Michelle, they was hoping Michelle to be a political pansy to go on up there and this is my personal opinion, and win these elections so they can keep control, but she's not doing it. She like, I'm over here podcasting. Matter of fact, I'm so against y'all right now. Y'all ungrateful asses for us sitting up in there 8 years and doing shit. I'm so against y'all right now that I ain't gonna even show up at these political events. I'm sick. I don't want to be bothered. I'm not going. Because Michelle is tired. And my personal opinion, I'm going to tell y'all my personal opinion. This is all my personal opinion, okay? Michelle's mama dying took her to another level. Michelle ain't studying y'all politically, okay? Y'all going to have to do some gangster shit to get Michelle to run for politics, okay? She ain't having it. They pissed about that, okay? They pissed. They ain't got nobody there. There ain't nobody that can run. They can't use Jasmine Dumb Crockett. And Susan Rice, for some reason, is like, no, I'd rather be a shadow. I'd rather not run. Maybe she doesn't have the charisma. She's got the smarts. Brilliant. Okay. There's nobody for the globalists to run on their end to protect their stuff. Okay. So now the globalists have got to move the memories of the Obamas out the way, even if they have to broker a deal with the devil. Obama's being sold out, I think. Be careful. Watch your back, Obama. Watch your back. These next documents might make it so that Obama was completely involved in the whole thing. And you know who else I think they'll be willing to throw in for good measure? Hillary. This will erase the memory of these old powerhouses in the Democratic Party and allow the Democrats to rebuild and ignite as something new. This is my theory. Obama's getting sold out. Oh my God, they're doing Obama in. Oh, it's not good look. I mean, damn. It's not a good look, man. They're doing Obama in, I think. I think they're doing him in. I'm hoping, but I really think that this is what's happening, okay? And I think it's from both parties. I don't think the Democrats are going to look like, how dare you come against Obama? And they're going to use this to their political advantage. Oh, he's put Obama, threatened to put Obama in jail. But this is going to be the political ruining of Obama. This is going to take Obama's already starting to wane a little bit politically. Kamala Harris did that for him. what they did is they got most of the people to turn against Barack with the idea of a female black president who's not black. That's the funny part. Y'all turned against y'all emperor for her. And she's a box of rocks up there. I mean, they could have went and got somebody smarter. They could have got all the women in the Democratic Party, black women. And they went and dusted off Kamala, who wasn't good in her primary. She wasn't good in her, where did y'all get her? Why'd y'all do this? Only to let the Republicans rebuild. The Republicans should have never rebuilt against Obama, but they did. Because poor Obama had to spend his political cash on Obamacare and gay rights. That's true. Gay people don't get mad at me, but it's the truth. And by the time his last couple of years, he's lame. He's a lame duck. The Ron Paul party is moving at a speed unknown, because now a man named Donald Trump has become the vacuum, taking over a little bit that party. And y'all don't know what's getting ready to hit you. Okay. Now, one day it just got to go global. I'm telling you this because the globalists have to succeed. Okay. But for now, the globalists is fighting for their life. The deep state and the globalists is fighting for their life. Okay. And that's because Donald Trump is out here being a gangster. He's pissed. He's pissed that y'all was about to put him in jail. Y'all was having him fight all kind of political fire. So now he's like, payback. Which one of you want to get this smoke? Bring to me who you want to get this smoke. Oh, you want Obama to get the smoke? Or do you want Hillary to get the smoke? Oh, do you want both of them? You want to throw both of them away? So the Democratic Party is going to look like they're not throwing both of them away. But they're going to throw both of them under the bus. And they already talking about, in my personal opinion, doing Hillary's, doing her emails, looking at her emails. Oh, it's about to get messy up in here.
To investigate the criminal implications of this.
The
evidence, correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Ed, go ahead.
Director Gabbard, thank you. So just two questions, but to begin on that. The president yesterday, you've inferred that the former president helped lead a coup. Based on what you now see, do you believe President Obama is guilty of treason?
I'm leaving the criminal charges to the Department of Justice. I'm not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people, our republic, and an attempt to undermine President Trump's administration.
The Senate Intelligence Committee spent several years looking into this and unanimously agreed in a bipartisan fashion, Secretary of State Rubio was a member of that committee, that there was no political interference. There was a years-long Justice Department investigation into this as well that also concluded no political interference. So help us, from a 50,000-foot level, explain, what do you now have that refutes those two conclusions?
Sure. I will encourage you, in my role as the Director of National Intelligence, my job, again, as I said when I came into this role, was to make sure that we are telling the truth to the American people and that we are ensuring that the intelligence community is not being politicized. So I'm not asking you to take my word for it. I'm asking you and the media to conduct honest journalism and the American people to see for yourself in the documents that we've released now, close to 200 pages, that point in multiple references, multiple examples, to include comments that have been made by senior intelligence professionals who are some still working within these agencies today that confirm the conclusions that we have drawn, that President Obama directed an intelligence community assessment to be created to further this contrived false narrative that ultimately led to a years-long coup to try to undermine President Trump's presidency.
I don't believe. I'm gonna tell you this. I do not believe Barack is that dumb. I do believe the Democratic Party has set Barack up, and I believe there were other elements of it because it was Hillary coming up to her. Who was running that first year when Obama's after his 8 years? Hillary. Obama didn't care for Hillary. He had to probably, allegedly, the rumors were they didn't care too much for Hillary. They had to begrudgingly come in. Oh, Hillary. Yeah, Hillary, vote for Hillary. Bye. Okay. I don't believe Obama will put his political career on the line, his political thing on the line for Hillary Clinton. Fuck that. I don't think he would do that at all. But I do believe people within his party at the time and who knew his reign was over was still trying to capture power, and they set him up without him knowing it. Okay? And they getting ready to sell him down the river. Barack, the Democrats is going to sell you down the river. Watch your back. Get your stuff together. You and Michelle, y'all better tell Michelle to calm down podcasting right now and shit. And see, black people, y'all mad at Obama because they done tricked y'all into liking old dumb box of rocks. Kamala. Y'all done got mad at y'all emperor. Because your emperor been talking down to you and the Republic. See, black people, you've become not smart. Black Americans, we can't do this. Not there's a lot of us that are smart. It's like 30-40% of us that's starting to realize the game. But a lot of y'all still out here playing political games with the Democrats. Y'all defending the Democrats. These Democrats. And so you mad. Anytime Barack say something like, well, blah, blah, blah. Barack was talking to Trump at the thing. Nobody else was. Y'all got mad at Trump for that. I mean, y'all got mad at Barack for that. But Barack just being cool. That's what power does. Them other motherfuckers was playing you. They do that behind the scenes. They was talking to Trump. They was doing that for the camera. Y'all better start knowing these games. These is games out here. These is political. Trump, right now, Barack knows it's nothing personal. Barack knows, even though he's getting ready, they about to try to rake him over the coals. Barack understands this is politics. And that these motherfuckers probably behind the scenes, these Democrats, because he's still a big thing in their party hanging in the balance. They can't get nobody else. Kamala ain't charismatic enough for it. So they about to sell these old school political powers down the river so they can regain power in their party. That's my opinion. So what you see these next few months, if this stuff starts to go further, you're going to see the dismantling, my personal opinion, unless something comes in to stop it, of Barack Obama. And then they're going to get you guys angry. It's going to be racial stuff happening. So they're going to distract you with the race stuff happening. You're going to be distracted from main stuff. You're not going to understand what's going on because you're going to be so distracted with Barack Obama and the Democrats throwing him under the bus. And the Democrats are going to help you get distracted. Look, this is a racial thing. This is blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, they've already probably brokered a deal with they understand they probably we might lose the next election or two. We ain't got nobody yet to run. But we got to clear these old motherfuckers out. This is the Democrats. How we going to do that? We got to broker probably a deal with old Trump because Trump beat us. And we got to give up these old motherfuckers so that we can redo our party. So they already know probably it's done for. Unless something special happens. Something special, a gift from the heavens or something. So they probably done already broken the deal to give Barack's ass up, but they can't look like they giving Barack's ass up. And Hillary possibly too. Okay? So what's gonna happen, or at least ruin them politically. And the Democrats are okay probably with being out of commission for a year or two as they build up their next political powerhouse. Possibly maybe AOC or Jasmine Crockett. Shit, they might be in trouble. Oh, this is so funny. Ooh, but if they get to sit them down for a good next 4 years, while maybe Vance or somebody else wins the the Republican Party or something like that, and they can 4 years, help this person to become a political powerhouse, it's a possibility. You know what I'm saying? They might be able to do it. They might be able to, with enough, they might be able to build their Manchurian candidate. Oh, this is terrible. It's a psyop going on here. And meanwhile, while y'all up here arguing racial division and everything like that with the Kenyan president, the Republicans, the party, Donald Trump, them gonna be over here on the sidelines signing up all kind of deals. Y'all gonna be out here arguing instead of getting your mind off of that, saying, "Well, shoot, Obama can handle himself." You ain't gonna do that. You gonna feel triggered by the racial implications of it, even though Obama is a Kenyan. You gonna be triggered, and you gonna be sitting up here arguing for Obama, even though I don't believe Obama did that. I believe it was other people in his party that wanted Hillary to take power, but I digress. Okay, Obama is now having to pay for his party's pissy stuff going on. Okay, and because they allowed Donald Trump to come back to power. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Will we practice to deceive? Is that it? Oh, there's no doubt. This is just hilarious. I can't take it. It's just so funny. Politics is hilarious. So my advice to y'all out here today, and I'm getting ready to get off, is this. Don't fall for the red herrings. Jeffrey Epstein, a red herring. I don't even know if I believe the whole Epstein thing. I don't know what the hell Epstein was. I don't even know if the man was a child molester or stuff like that. I really don't. I don't. That's what they said about him. They can make anybody look bad tonight. They can take you tonight and make you look like you was a child molester. You like, I ain't touched a kid in my life. They done, all of a sudden, to me, one of the favorite agency things, I'm not going to say that, but pouring on your computer. Anything, it can take your ass down in 5 seconds. Oh, God, it's an ugly world. You like, what? I don't like no kids. Look at your computer. And the public will believe anything. They'll just say, well, on their computer, we found lots of child pornography. And you're like, shit, anybody could put child pornography on somebody's computer. We don't never argue that. We just accept it. Do we really know what Jeffrey Epstein was? We don't. I don't think we have any clue. Was he a child molester? Was he a pedophile? I don't know. I don't know what the hell y'all doing out here and why y'all using Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell to distract us from the business at hand. Listen, the Epstein files don't matter. Let me tell you why they don't matter. Because these people are still practicing out here, and I'm sure the kingdom will come down if you leave it alone for a minute. Quit trying to open up them Epstein things, because I don't think it's even what you think. I think Epstein's a front. I think it's something much darker than what that. And if you don't got to see the names on the list. That's a part of it. Let it go. But I will tell you this, those names that's on that list, and then you still out here doing foul shit, somebody's going to drop the bag. Somebody's going to become a mess. And that's how you're going to find out who these people are. Keep your eyes right now focused on now. The Epstein participants eventually show up, if there is any participants. If Epstein wasn't for something, the fall guy for something bigger, which my suspicion is that he was. But now they're using him to see. They get you guys in all little kind of political theater. Anytime you see political theater going on, know that it's a distraction. You see political theater, you like political theater. It's a distraction. It's not real. Okay? Keep your eyes on what the now is. Not what your motherfuckers doing right now. Hey, Jeffrey Epstein, they won't release that list. I think such just it don't matter. What's on that? What's going on now? What you doing now? What you signing today, Trump? What you over there doing, Democrats? What you arguing today? Hey, globalists, what you up to? Nationalists, what y'all doing? What's going on right now in the politics? Keep your eyes on today. They hoping you will get distracted with Jeffrey Epstein. So they can do their dirty work. Jeffrey Epstein is the past, long gone. Anything they give you now is going to be bullshit. Okay, they're going to throw somebody under the river if they got to give you something. They're going to give you some bullshit, okay? If Jeffrey Epstein was a real pedophile and had real pedophile islands, I'm not so sure anymore. But if he wasn't, I know y'all saying, Carlotta, he had people on TV and stuff like that. I always question a lot of that because it looked kind of like agency. Like it was agents talking. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. Forgive me if I'm to the victims. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I don't know. I don't believe it. I don't know what Jeffrey Epstein was. But if there was islands and all of that stuff that Jeffrey Epstein and people, all these powerful people going to these islands and stuff like that, Jeffrey Epstein had muddled the water so much in his being. He had friends that were rich and poor. You don't know who the fuck is what. If you was rich in New York City during that time, you was going to be hanging around Jeffrey Epstein because Jeffrey Epstein was going to make sure he knew you. You might be on the list today. And you be like, I ain't fuck with no kids. But they like, you was hanging around Jeffrey like y'all do Donald Trump. Okay? I'm not saying Donald Trump wasn't messing with no kid. I'm just saying that Donald Trump, it's a lot of rich people on that thing that didn't even have nothing to do with nothing. Jeffrey Epstein, a lot of people think was a blackmailer from Mossad, or he might have been Israel intelligence. Now, I know Israel intelligence has said that's not true. But a lot of people on the low think that's what was going on. Of course they're going to say it's not true. He was trying to get tea on some of everybody. And probably what happened is while in the midst of trying to get tea on everybody, they got tea, pretend tea on him. And put his ass in jail and said, where's them files and all that shit you got on us? Oh, we gonna kill your ass. See, y'all gotta understand the game. He probably knew he was going down. Where's our stuff? Where is it at? You know, they just went and got him. You don't know what Jeffrey Epstein was, okay? So quit being distracted with Jeffrey Epstein. That's something you can't solve. The Ghislaine Maxwell cases was a distraction, all that. Keep your eyes on the now. Yeah, you're right, Trump. We ain't gotta know who's on that list. What you got right now? What you doing right now? See, do you think Trump didn't think? Do you think that Trump administration didn't know y'all was gonna be pissed about that list? It's a major distraction. They ran partly off of that list. But who cares who's on the fucking list? It doesn't say anything anyway. It's the fucking probably files and case files and stuff like that. He hung around a number of people, celebrities, everything. Shit, Beyonce might even be on the goddamn. I mean, if he knew Beyonce was hanging in the 90s in New York City, she might be on the list. Even though I'm not saying she did anything, I'm saying because he made it his business to be around the political, everyone. Okay? So y'all just listen, that's something y'all can't discern anyway. Okay? Y'all a list. Y'all need the whole file. And they ain't giving that up. Okay? They gonna give y'all some fake shit if they do. They say, we put out this old shit on Dr. King before we put out that file. Oh shit, y'all already know. The King family, let me talk to the King family real quick before I go. Let me go. King family, come close. It's time for us to have a come to Jesus meeting. It'll make you a lot bolder. It'll make you a lot braver in how you got to do it. Okay? Dr. King's legacy, as far as civil rights is concerned, his beautiful sermons, who he was, and how he navigated the atmosphere in terms of Black American life is not tainted, in my opinion. I mean, he's human. He's going to do a little bit of this, do a little bit of the things he done. But the best thing y'all can do is to have a come to meeting Jesus about who your daddy was. Daddy was a hoe. Okay. Daddy was a good preacher, but it's a lot of good preachers that's hoes out here. It's a lot of good preachers. You know what? I'm going to say this, okay? I know a lot of good preachers who drank and partied and all this stuff. Dr. King, the intelligence is already broke. You ain't got to quit trying to fight old intelligence. You know, I would come out now and say, you know what? My dad wasn't a perfect man. My dad did a lot of things, some things we didn't even know about. Some things, oh my God, and I hate to know that. And I'm sure it affected his ministry. I'm sure it affected his civil rights thing. But one thing it never affected was his vision to see us as black people free. That's what you got to keep it on. But you can't keep up here in Delulu trying to stop fouls from coming out. Fuck Trump putting them fouls out. Trump, let them out. Matter of fact, what else you got on my daddy? Because you can't fight that. They've already done that over the last 20 years. They did that back in the 60s. When the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover had already ruined Dr. King, the side business of Dr. King, when he put that tape under his bed. It's time to let go. Your daddy, you know who your daddy was to you. Okay? Daddy, unless they outright lying on your daddy with some lies, but most people say it wasn't lies. Remember, what's his name wrote that book? His best friend. What was his best friend? He wrote that book. Talking about, he had already told, okay? Wasn't it, what is starting with the man, Dr. King, he said he used to write all Dr. King's speeches, some of Dr. King's speeches and stuff like that. I forget his name. Some people say he was lying and all this stuff, but he was on down here. I remember my grandma making me watch it when I was a kid. Okay? I was young, teenage, okay? I forget, I have his name on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think, but listen, it's already out here. We already know. The gig is up. That gig is up. Quit trying to fight. Quit trying to protect that side. You know what? Let me say this. The greatest stories in the Bible are the stories of flawed people. David was a great king, but a very flawed man. So flawed to the point I always say that when at the end of David's life, they sent the virgin in the room to see if he messed with her, because David was like, always a flirter, always a hoe. He always was looking for some women out on these streets. But it ruined his family. It ruined his life. It didn't help his life at all. But David still, it never took away from David becoming one of the greatest kings in all of Israel history, to the point where the Bible says that Jesus will sit up on the throne of David. David's throne is a throne that has no end. I want to give y'all a little sermon here. David was doing a lot of, if you ever know about the story of David, David did some foul shit. Okay? Including killing a man for his wife and making him his own wife. And who David continued with most of his life, and Bathsheba and him had other children and everything else. But David went through some shit. Listen, let me tell you something, okay? The people in the Bible ain't perfect. Paul was known to be a murderer of Christians, the man who wrote most of the New Testament. To one of the great preachers was when he was getting stoned to death. Who was one of the great preachers in the Bible? Stephen. And Stephen, they said, was getting stoned to death, and Paul allegedly watched. Or I can't remember how that goes in the scripture. Paul watched. Paul was a nemesis. He hated Christians. Till he fell to the Damascus road. And Jesus said, "Hey, Paul, what you doing?" Paul like, "What?" And Paul had to change his whole life, became one of the greatest warriors for Christianity, writing most of the New Testament. But was a murderer and used to kill Christians, to the point that the disciples were scared of him. They didn't know when he was trying to get with the disciples were like, "I don't know those shit. We come around him," because his ass was out here just trying to kill us a few years ago. Now he talking about he done been on the Damascus road and he done seen Jesus and he want to be our friend after killing us all up and down these streets. These are the kind of people that make up the stories of Christianity, okay? So please stop making your daddy out to be like he was some perfection, some picture of perfection. He was not. And it's best to just go on and come to that truth. Daddy was a hoe. Daddy was out here with all these women. And the women was on daddy. But daddy did some great things in his life. And he loved us. Okay? But he did have hoes in different area codes. Okay? And when you do that, you will free yourself of that burden. You'll quit saying, release the Epstein files, release the Epstein files. It don't matter if they release the Epstein files. The Epstein files is a distraction. And your daddy's releasing of your daddy's old ass files was a distraction. We already know what your daddy was. Everybody know what your daddy was. On the side from preaching and civil rights. Okay? So let's stop the foolishness. Protect the legacy he does have. Work to change that legacy and become more understanding of that legacy and understanding of who your father was. It may be time to reshape who your dad was. It may be time for a new movie about him and who he really was, to give the American public so you won't have to deal with that thing anymore. That's why I always used to say about a little Leah. I said, hey, y'all don't make no movies about Aaliyah because y'all think Aaliyah was floating in the clouds, was a little angel flying around. I love me some Aaliyah, but until you come to terms with who she was as a totality of a person, you can't make a good movie about her because you're trying to angel wing her. And she wasn't an angel. She had her things. She had, in her little short span of life, Aaliyah was so powerful and so beautiful. She had her little things as a young woman that she had to go through and learn. Ain't no sense in hiding the shit about R. Kelly. Everybody know shit was going on. Ain't no sense in hiding the relationship Dame Dash and she might have brought down Rock Nation. I don't know. All I'm saying is ain't no sense in hiding all that. Everybody knows she wasn't no angel floating around on some wings. But the best stories come from, we all know that powerful people are not perfect. Shit, ain't nobody perfect up in here, okay? Everybody, we have all sinned and fallen short, okay? So ain't no sense up here playing games and trying to send out perfect images. That's why I always said, I said, don't do no movies about her. If you can't have a come to Jesus meeting about who she was as a totality of a woman, because then you short her of her lifespan and what it means to the world and what it meant to her, what lessons she leaves for the world. You ain't got to tell all her business, but you could tell something that gives gives people some sense of understanding of who she was and that she was not perfection. And that's the same thing I say about anybody else. You cannot do these little stories and try to make people angels and stuff, because all somebody gonna do is write a book and say, see, they was doing up in here and doing this. No, we got a picture of them doing some crap. Oh, we got a picture of them doing some this and that. You see, it's easy to make those pictures about Whitney Houston. You know what I'm saying? Because Whitney had it all out. Her drug addiction was all out here. And I think her drug addiction is very important to her life. If you try to tell a story about Whitney Houston without the drug addiction, it just wouldn't flow. It is what ruined her life. And people need to know that, because the next big singer may gather something from that life. And that's all I have to say today on that. So you guys, thank you for listening. Remember, you can hit me up on the Carlotta Chatwood Facebook page. You can also hit me up on Carly's with an S _Galaxy on Instagram, and there's a link there for Threads. Also, you can hit me up on C Chatwood Show and Carlotta72 on X. And for TikTok is K Carlotta or Keisha Carlotta, okay? I am out. Y'all have a good day, okay? See y'all. Bye.